Shalom and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Jeremy Brit. We are reading today from the book of Luke, starting at chapter 13. Luke chapter 13, verse 1. 1. There were present at that season some that told him of the Galileans, whose blood Platos had mingled with their sacrifices. 2. And Yeshua answering said to them, Do you suppose that these Galileans were worse transgressors than all the other Galileans, because they suffered such things? 3. I tell you, no, but except you repent, you shall all likewise perish. 4. Or those 18 upon whom the tower in Siloam fell and killed them, do you think that they were worse transgressors than all men that dwelt in Jerusalem? 5. I tell you, no, but except you repent, you shall all likewise perish. 6. He spoke also this parable. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit upon it, and found none. 7. Then he said to the dresser of his vineyard, Behold, these 3 years I have come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and found none. Cut it down. Why should it continue to deplete the soil? 8. And he answered to him, Master, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig around it, and put fertilizer on it. 9. And if it bears fruit, well, and if not, then after that you can cut it down. 10. And he was teaching in one of the Kohanim on the Sabbath. 11. And behold, there was a woman which had a ruach, a spirit of infirmity, 18 years, and was bent over, and could in no wise straighten up herself. 12. And when Yeshua saw her, he called her over to him, and said to her, Woman, you are freed from your infirmity. 13. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and esteemed Elohim. 14. And the ruler of the Kohal answered with indignation, because Yeshua had healed on the Sabbath day, and said to the people, There are 6 days in which men ought to work, so come in them and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. 15. Yeshua then answered him and said, You hypocrite, do not each one of you on the Sabbath day loose his ox or his donkey from the stall and lead him away to the water. 16. And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound for these 18 years, be released from this imprisonment on the Sabbath day? 17. And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him. 18. Then he said, To what is the kingdom of Elohim like? And whereunto shall I resemble it? 19. It is like a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and cast into his garden, and it grew and waxed a great tree, and the birds of the air lodged in the branches of it. 20. And again he said, What too shall I liken the kingdom of Elohim? 21. It is like the leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. 22. And he went through the cities and villages, teaching and journeying toward Jerusalem. 23. Then said one to him, Master, Adonai, Lord, are there few that be rescued? And he said to them, 24. Strive to enter in at the narrow door, for many, I say to you, will seek to enter in, and shall not be able. 25. When once the head of the house, is risen up, and has shut the door, and you begin to stand outside, and to knock at the door, saying, Master, Master, Adonai, Adonai, Lord, Lord, open to us. And he shall answer and say to you, I know not where ye come from. 26. Then shall you begin to say, we ate and drank in your presence, and you have taught in our streets. 27. But he shall say, I tell you, I know ye not where ye come from. Depart from me, all ye workers of lawlessness. 28. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when ye shall see Abraham, and Yitzhak, Isaac, and Yaakov, Jacob, and all the prophets in the kingdom of Elohim, and ye yourselves will be thrust out. 29. And they shall come from the east, and from the west, and from the north, and from the south, and shall sit down in the kingdom of Elohim. 30. And behold, there are last which shall be first, and there are first which shall be last. 31. The same day there came certain of the Pharisees, saying to him, Get away from here, and depart hence, for Herodes wants to kill you. 32. And he said to them, Go and tell that fox, Behold, I cast out ruachot, spirits, demons, and I perform healings today and tomorrow. And on the third day my work shall be completed. 33. Nevertheless, I must walk today and tomorrow, and the day following, for it cannot be that a prophet perishes out of Jerusalem. 34. O Jerusalem, 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 which kill the prophets and stone them that are sent to you. How often would I have gathered your children together, as a hen gather her chicks under her wings, and you would not. 35. Behold, your Beth, your house, is left to you desolate, and verily I say to you, you shall not see me until the time comes when you shall say, Blessed is he that comes in the name of Yahweh. So that now is the end of chapter 13. So let's go back and have a look at some of the footnotes in chapter 13. So the first footnote we have is in verse 1. There were present at that season some that told him of the Galileans, whose blood, Platos, had mingled with their sacrifices. Okay, so we have a footnote for sacrifices. So we have here Josephus, the historian, notes an event where many Galileans were murdered by Pilate. This man, Judas of Galilee, who tried to draw away some of the Hebrew people from the Roman government and told them it was not lawful to give taxes to Caesar, at which Pilate, being enraged, sent a band of soldiers and murdered them all. He was the uncle of Yahushua. He was of Gamla and not Galilee. So the writer of this gospel has confused the two places. So we also have a footnote which says, see Act 5:37. So let's have a look at Acts 5:37. Acts So Acts 5:37, and it reads, After this man rose up, Yehuda of Galilee, in the days of registration, and drew away many people after him. He also perished, and all, as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. Okay, so we have a footnote here for Galilee. So let's have a look at this. So Judah of Gamla wrongly thought of Galilee was Yeshua's uncle and father-in-law of Yeshua's half-sister. See the book Beth Yeshua, the son of Zadok, the son of David. Okay, so for more understanding of that, see or get the book Beth Yeshua, the son of Zadok, the son of David. So you can buy this on Amazon. If you go to Rabbi Simon Altaf. You can see the book there on Amazon. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 7. Then he said to the dresser of his vineyard, behold, these 3 years. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Behold, these 3 years. So we have here the first 3 years of the tree and its fruit were not eaten and considered uncircumcised. This is Torah designation for fruit trees. See Leviticus 19:23. Okay, so let's have a look at Leviticus 19:23. So Leviticus 19:23, and it reads, and when you shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, then you shall count the fruit there as forbidden. 3 years shall it be as forbidden to you. It shall not be eaten. So I'll read 24 as well. But in the 4th year, all the fruit there shall be holy to praise Yahweh. Okay, so we have a footnote here to praise Yahweh. So we have here the first 3 years, the fruit of an etz, a tree, was considered uncircumcised and not fit to eat until the 4th year. Okay, so it's the 4th year that you are allowed to eat the fruit and not before. So if you're planting a tree today, a fruit tree, it's the 4th year that you are allowed to eat the fruit. Because if you're keeping the commandments, then these commandments still stand. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 8. And he answered to him, Master, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig around it and put fertilizer on it. Okay, so let's have a look at this, put fertilizer on it. So we have here, the 4th year, the fruit was considered to be set apart, holy to God. So another year is given for the fruit, also the believers, to be set apart to Yahweh. This also teaches that a believer needs 4 years of study before he can enter the stage of understanding of the essentials. Okay, so 4 years of study until you really get to understand the essentials of the commandments. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 10. And he was teaching in one of the Kohalim on the Sabbath. Okay, let's have a look at this. So we have here, Yahshua is teaching that judgment is to come on the nation. He taught 3 years, but the Judeans did not believe him. So judgment was set for the fig tree, meaning national Israel, to be cut down. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 16. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 16. And will not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound for these 18 years, be released from this? Okay, let's have a look at this. So we have here, the daughter of Abraham could also be referenced as the daughter of Zion, meaning Jerusalem, or the people of Judah, whom Satan had tried to destroy but failed. Yahshua at once heals them, while the ruler of the synagogue, the one objecting, could be seen as the worldly class, who has their own perception of when to do something, while Yahshua not only loves his people, but also will fully heal their sickness. Revelation yet to come. Okay, so we have another footnote in verse 16. Be released from this imprisonment on the Sabbath day. So let's have a look at this on the Sabbath day. So we have here the remez, the hint, and the sod, the hidden, meaning are of Israel, bowed down by pressure from the nations to split her land. She is being beat up by the Muslims and traumatized. The Messiah heals her completely on the Sabbath. Here, looking also to the greater millennium Sabbath, when Israel will be fully healed as this woman was. Okay, Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 21. It is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. Okay, let's have a look at this. So we have here, see Matthew 13:33. So let's have a look at Matthew 13:33. So Matthew 13:33, and it reads, another parable he spoke to them. The kingdom of Shemayim is like to leaven, which a woman took and hid 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. Okay, so we have a footnote for leavened. So let's have a look at this. So we have here, the woman here in view, in our opinion, is Rome, who was in full power at the time of Yahshua. And she took the truth of Yahweh and hid it and leavened it. She indeed corrupted the teachings by hiding the real text away. The 3 measures are the different levels of believers, although the woman hid it, but out of it 3 levels of people came. Okay, so we have the first level, which is A, those that are fully Torah observant. These do not care about persecution and will publish any doctrine that the Torah publishes as truth. In the end, they get vilified by the established Christian church because these people are the minority and the church, for now, the majority. Okay, so we have the second level, which is B, those that are about 80% Torah observant. They accept these doctrines of the Torah that suit them, but reject those that they do not like or cannot fully understand. They cannot, said to be, obeying the Torah fully. One such doctrine is patriarchal marriage. Some Torah conservant groups who have a hard time with it tend to lean towards asceticism, while others deny this is not at all possible today, because we are not in the land of Israel, and these have instead adopted serial marriage models in which they divorce at will. While if they had accepted Torah monogamy, that calls for faithfulness, fidelity, and loyalty to your one wife. There is no point in them teaching the Sabbath, because by their own theology, then that is also for the land of Israel. Therefore, Yahweh's law, according to these people, at least is only active in that small piece of land called Israel. What a shame that the Creator's laws only exist in one small area of the Middle East. This is the dilemma these people live in. These people, due to the lack of understanding, will also at times align themselves with some of the world's systems and accept some of the worldly ways as valid for today, which is a violation of Torah. So the third group of people is Group C. These believers, predominantly Christians, who refuse to accept Torah at all. One might ask, how can these be leavened? This is simple to understand when you consider even many full Torah observant believers were originally leavened, but came out of the pagan church system. So all were leavened at one point or one time. Okay, so that there was Matthew 13:33. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 24. Strive to enter in at the narrow door. So let's have a look at this narrow door. So we have here, see Matthew 7:13. So let's have a look at Matthew 7:13. So Matthew 7:13 reads, enter into the narrow door, for wide is the door, and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many are there who go in through this. Okay, so we have a footnote here, 2 footnotes. So we have the first footnote is enter into the narrow door. So we have for that. The earlier manuscripts have the word door instead of gate, which was used in later manuscripts. The Aramaic word taria can be translated as door or gate, since the tent had petah, door, to enter in, so we can choose to use the word door. This ties in with Yehochanan, John 10:9. This is doing a kal vakoma of 2 doors or 2 gates, if you will. One door represents Yisrael, Israel, and the other the world. One of the names Israel applies to Yaakov and the 12 tribes. Rabbi Yeshua revealed the way to enter is through Israel, the chosen 12 tribes, and the Torah as that door. This analogy is for both the tent and the temple. His ways, which are the ways of the Mosaic Torah, are very hard for many people, as they cannot give up things in the world. They do not like to keep the biblical feasts, calling them legalistic. They do not like to keep the Sabbaths. Hence, it is the narrow door. This has the Hebrew letters Shin, Ayin, and Resh for door and for narrow. The word Zur has the letters Zadi and Resh. So we have Shiar, S-H-I, apostrophe A-R, Shin, the name of Yahweh is hidden, which is Hashem. Ayin, legs and feet for motion. We need to demonstrate our faith through Torah works. Resh, a high-flying bird such as a hawk. The above word, Shi'ar, indicates that those who have Yahweh will do the walk, the Torah, and be led by the teachers of the Torah. Tesur, or Sir, Zadi, a living being, man, needing a savior, bowing down. Resh, a hawk or eagle, flying high. And Tesur, or Sir, indicates man who will be led by the rabbi if he is willing. Okay, so you've got an understanding there of what it means to really keep the commandments, yeah? So, you have to do the Torah works. You have to, keep the Sabbath, keep the holy feasts. This is what we're talking about here. So, it's about doing the works. It's about actually doing the commandments and keeping these things. So let's have a look at John 10:9. And John 10:9 reads, I am the door. By me, if any man enters in, he shall be rescued, and shall go in and out, and find pasture. Okay, so we have a footnote here for I am the door. So let's have a look at this quickly. So then it takes us back to Matthew 7:13, okay, which I've just read. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 25. When once the head of the Beth house is risen up and has shut the door. Okay, so when once the head. Let's have a look at this. The head. Our Father is the head of the house, but he has set Yeshua as the king to decide our future. Okay? So that's self-evident. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 26. Then shall you begin to say, we ate, drank in your presence, and you have taught in our streets. So drank in your presence, let's have a look at this. So this phrase or idiom means they were teaching with his authority. But what they forgot was that they were not teaching Torah at all, and were abrogating it and telling people it is no longer valid. So in effect, they were abrogating his authority. Then Yahshua told them, he does not know them, for they were workers of sin. Those that live in Torah disobedience, even to this day in many churches. Okay, so those who are not keeping the commandments, obviously workers of sin in Yahshua's eyes, and were disobedient to the Torah and to the laws of Moses. Okay? So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 28. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth when ye shall see Abraham, and Yitzhak, Isaac, and Yaakov, and all the prophets in the kingdom of Elohim, and ye yourselves shall be thrust out. So let's have a look at this thrust out. Why are these people crying? This is because they have realized that they lost a chance to be clothed with eternity forever. But instead, they will be burned and incinerated, and they will have no more conscious existence. Please see footnote Mark 9:48 and Isaiah 66:24. The traditional view of Christianity of eternal, conscious, and continuous torture is incorrect for humanity being judged. This is because it does not take into consideration Elohim's side of mercy and justice. Also, the view is Platonist Greek theology and not biblical. Some individuals are marked for everlasting punishment, but they are few, and it is probable that they will eventually burn and incinerate also, while the majority of the transgressors will be put to death and simply cease to exist as people. Their souls will not have an eternal state. Okay, so let's have a look at Mark 9:48 first. So Mark 9:48, and it reads, where the worm dies not, and the fire is not quenched. Okay, so we have here a footnote for is not quenched. So we have here Yahshua quotes Isaiah 66:24. When the end judgment is done, the souls of the wicked ones will be destroyed, and there will be cessation of life. The Hebrew word in Isaiah 66:24 shows us these are dead corpses or bones of the dead. They have no life left, so there is no concept here for these ones to be eternally tortured. The highest form of Torah capital punishment is cessation of life with no existence and no joy of any future. People are not made to look upon their relatives suffering eternal torment. Elohim is not a sadist to do that to others. There is no need for him, as he directly states. He does not want the death of the wicked in Ezekiel 18:23, while the evangelists are obsessive about everlasting torture, which is reserved only for the rebellious Malachim, the angels, and a few other select wicked individuals that would eventually also come to cessation. The torment of the devil will continue. The fire that consumes, as in Ezekiel 20:47, would burn and reduce to ashes. It does not leave trees whole to be continuously burning, neither do humans. They are consumed and reduced to ashes, where the righteous can view them with pity and without contempt. Sad is the existence of such people. There is no Torah law for an everlasting conscious torture of individuals. Okay, so we have another reference here for Isaiah 66:24 and Ezekiel 20:47. So let's have a look at Isaiah 66:24 first. So Isaiah 66:24, and it reads, And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched. And they shall be an abhorring to all flesh. Okay? So we have a footnote here for to all flesh, and it reads, all rebels will be removed. Okay, so that's Isaiah 66:24. So let's have now a look at Ezekiel 20:47. Okay, so Ezekiel 20:47. So Ezekiel 20:47, and it reads, and say to the forest of the south, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus says Master Yahweh, behold, I will kindle a fire in you, and it shall devour every green tree in you, and every dry tree. The flaming flame shall not be quenched, and all faces from the south to the north shall be burned therein. And let's read 48. And all flesh shall see that I, Yahweh, have kindled it. It shall not be quenched. Okay, so that was Ezekiel 20:47. Okay, so I think we have a few more footnotes here to read. So we have Ezekiel also 18:23. So let's have a look at Ezekiel 18:23. So Ezekiel 18:23, and I'm going to read to 27. Okay. So Ezekiel 18:23, and it reads, have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die, says Master Yahweh, and not that he should return from his ways and live? 24. But when the righteous turns away from his Zedekiah, justice, and commits iniquity, and does according to all the idolatrous acts that the wicked man does, shall he live? All his Zedekiah, justice, that he has done, shall not be mentioned in his trespass, that he has trespassed, and in his iniquity, that he has sinned, in them he shall die. 25. Yet you say, the way of Yahweh is not equal. Hear now, O house of Israel, is not my way equal? Are not your ways unequal? 26. When a righteous man turns away from his Zedekiah, justice, and commits iniquity, and dies in them, for his iniquity that he has done, he shall die. 27. Again, when the wicked man turns away from his wickedness that he has committed, and does that which is judgment and Zedekiah, justice, he shall rescue his soul alive. So he shall rescue his soul and live. Okay, so we have some footnotes here. So the first footnote we have is in verse 25. Yet you say, the way of Yahweh is not equal. So we have here Yahweh. So obviously the Father's name, Yahweh, is not equal. So we're using the four-letter word of Yahweh, the Y, the H, the W, and the H. Okay? So the next footnote we have is in verse 27. Again, when the wicked man turns away from his wickedness that he has committed, and does that which is judgment and Zedekiah, justice. So let's have a look at this. Zedekiah, justice. So we have, this means keeping Torah, okay? Keeping the commandments. Okay, so that was Ezekiel 18:23 to 27. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 31. The same day there were certain of the Pharisees saying to him, "Get away from here and depart hence, for Herodes wants to kill you." Okay, let's have a look at this. Herodes wants to kill you. Contrary to many opinions, many Pharisees looked up to Yeshua and were on his side. Okay, so there were many Pharisees that looked up to Yeshua and were on his side. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 32. And he said to them, "Go and tell that fox." Okay, so let's have a look at this, citing Ezekiel 13:4. A lying, deceiving man. The Hebrew writings tell us that this designation is not to show that Herodes was clever, but to show his evil, debased nature as a destroyer. Okay, so we have Ezekiel 13:4. So let's have a look at this, Ezekiel 13:4. So Ezekiel 13:4, and I'm going to read to verse 9. So Ezekiel 13:4. Okay, so let's have a look at Ezekiel 4, and we'll read also to verse 9. Okay, so Ezekiel 13:4. O Israel, your prophets are like the foxes in the deserts. 5. You have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of Yahweh. 6. They have seen vanity and lying divination, saying, Yahweh says, and Yahweh has not sent them. And they have made others to trust, and they will confirm the word. 7. Have you not seen a vain vision? And have you not spoken a lying divination, whereas you say, Yahweh says it, albeit I have not spoken? 8. Therefore, thus says Master Yahweh, because you have spoken vanity and seen lies, therefore, behold, I am against you, says Master Yahweh. 9. And my hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity, and that enact with lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Israel, neither shall they enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am Master Yahweh. Okay, so we have a footnote here for Master Yahweh, and it says here, exactly as Yahweh said, lying prophets or lying people who tell lies for a profit will not be allowed to enter the land, not even in the millennium. Okay, so that was Ezekiel 13:4. So that now brings us to the end of Luke chapter 13. So I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. This is Rabbi Jeremy Beaton saying, thank you for watching. Baruch Shem. Kivod Makuto Leolam Va'ed. Benevolent be the name of his esteemed kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen. Shalom, shalom. Thank you for watching.